Streaming all across the country, from Washington State to South Beach and the Northeast to the deserts of Arizona, to dive into all things football. You're listening to the B&E Podcast. Here's your hosts, Ed Donaldson and Brandon Simpson.
If your team didn't suit up on Thanksgiving or Black Friday, don't worry because they'll hit the field on Sunday or Monday. All 32 teams in action for this Week 13. Thank you for joining us for our Week 13 NFL preview show. Ed, how was your Thanksgiving?
It's pretty cool, man. Spent it with some family, ate some good food, watched the games yesterday. Had a good time. How about you, sir?
I was pretty good as well until about 8 o'clock, 8:20 p.m. Eastern time. And it all went south from there. Like I said on the preview show, don't let the Ravens spoil my Thanksgiving, and sure enough, they did. But we'll get more into that shortly, everyone.
All right, let's get into this opening drive then, shall we? Patriots right guard Will Campbell has been placed on injured reserve and will be out until at least week 18. Frank Ragnow has ended his retirement and will return to the Lions. Raiders quarterback Geno Smith is apologizing to fans for making an obscene gesture following the Week 12 loss against the Browns. The Bills have signed wide receiver Brandon Cooks. Jackson Dart is expected to start Monday night against the Patriots after clearing concussion protocol. Colts quarterback Daniel Jones dealing with a fractured fibula, but he's still expected to play. Packers defensive tackle Devontae Wyatt fractured his ankle last night against the Lions and will miss the remainder of the season.
Okay, everyone, as we mentioned, we had 3 Thanksgiving games on Thursday. We're going to go one by one real quick, give you our thoughts on them. Packers over the Lions. It was a 3-point victory for Green Bay. Big plays defined this game, in my opinion. You had Green Bay 4th and 3 at the Detroit 22. I believe this was early second quarter. Love throws it deep left to Wicks for a 22-yard toe drag swag type of play. I think he got 1 foot in on the play. 1 was out, but I think they ruled it because he touched the defender. They counted it as a touchdown. I was a little confused, but hey, it is what it is. Later in the second quarter, Green Bay goes for it from the Detroit 2. Bit of a controversial play. I'm sure Lions fans were hot at this point because the right guard moved before the snap. LaFleur was running, kind of walking down the sideline, called timeout. They gave it to him. Offense comes back out on the field, and Love hits Dobbs in the corner of the end zone for another touchdown. And then in the third quarter, Dobbs fumbled it in the red area, but his teammate recovers. 2 plays later, Jordan Love hits Wicks for his second touchdown of the game. It seems like every time Detroit would get 6 points on the board, Green Bay would respond. That's how it seemed like it would go. Especially in that second quarter, it was 14-14 as far as the score goes for both of those teams. But the backbreaker, though, was on that final drive. Packers needed another first down to run the clock out. Green Bay called a timeout just inside minute warning. They wanted to figure out exactly what type of play they was going to run. They come back out. Love is in the shotgun. He finds Hicks for 16 yards in the first down. It was a bit of a high pass. Hicks had to go up and get it, but that's why he gets paid the big bucks, or at least NFL money, to make a catch like that. It secured the Green Bay win. It is their first sweep over Detroit, I believe, since the year 2020, the COVID year. Ed, what are your thoughts on this Green Bay Detroit game?
Yeah, shout out to Wicks and the receivers for the Packers. I thought this game was going to go a little differently. I thought the Packers would win, but I thought Josh Jacobs would come back from injury and dominate this game. But wasn't quite the case. He did have about 83 yards rushing, but it was Jordan Love throwing 4 touchdowns. And who have these type of games where, he looks good one game, like yesterday, throwing 4 touchdowns, making clutch plays, making clutch throws. He had a couple of clutch throws in clutch situations yesterday. And then we'll have a game again where he'll have bonehead decisions. Was it against the Panthers where he threw a interception in the end zone where it looked like it was just Panthers players around? So going forward, I'm definitely interested to see how Jordan Love is going to go down the stretch. But this was definitely a good win for the Packers. But is a huge loss for that defense, Devontae Wyatt. So that's another thing I'm going to keep my eye on, how this Packer defense will look without one of their starting defensive linemen being out there for the rest of the year. But the offense of the Lions always confuses me, man, because Jamison Williams, he stepped up big time when Amon St. Brown went down with that ankle injury. And I just wondered to myself, like, why don't they? How is he not involved like this in most of the games? Because I want to say it was last week where he didn't even record a catch. He's like the ultimate boom or bust type of player, where 1 week he could go nuclear, game like yesterday where he gets like 144 yards and some touchdowns, and a week later it's like he's not even out there. He's just running routes, but they don't, can't connect with him for some reason. So that's very confusing to me. But all in all, this is a tough loss for the Lions. That division, you got the Bears, the Packers, and the Lions all vying for that number one spot in the NFC North. So I'm wondering how that's going to shake out as the end of the season goes, and how long is Amon St. Brown going to be out? I think they're saying that's a low ankle sprain, so I don't think he'll be out too long. But you never know if that's one of those nagging type of injuries that can affect them later down the line. But we'll see how it goes. But it was a good game, though. I'll give it that much.
For sure. Another good one down in Dallas, Arlington, Texas. 3-point game as well, 31-28. It was the Cowboys over the Chiefs. I've never been a bigger Cowboys fan than I was on Thursday afternoon between 4:30 and 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, y'all. First of all, shout out to the refs for not giving into Kansas City antics, consistently putting their hands up after plays, looking for yellow flags. They were pleading to the refs after the plays, and even one time when the ref came over to the sideline because Mahomes, Andy Reid, and Matt Nagy were, I guess, yelling at him. They wanted his attention for something. I can't remember what exactly it was. I remember the ref kind of like he was pissed in the face. He told Matt Nagy to go away that time, and he talked to Mahomes and Andy Reid, and I don't think they got the call they wanted even after that discussion. But to the game, man. Kansas City came out firing after that Dak Prescott interception. Hats off to Dallas, though, for keeping their composure. Dak was spreading the ball out to his guys. CeeDee Lamb had a fantastic game. Turpin was solid in the return game as well. The dagger, though, 3rd and 2 at the Kansas City 40. Prescott took the snap. He looked, and I believe this was the play where Pickens threw his hand up, kind of looked like Randy Moss. He said, "I was open," basically, and he threw it to him for the first down. Those are the types of plays that we normally see Kansas City do against opposing defenses and opposing teams to run out the clock and secure the win. But to see it against them was love, beautiful, and glory, man. Man, I can't recall, though, a time where the Chiefs have 6 losses in a season under the Mahomes era. I could be wrong, but this is good television, ladies and gentlemen. Kansas City now 1-5 on the road. Thank you to the Dallas players, their coaches, even Jerry Jones, and a special thank you again to the refs for not letting Kansas City influence them. They just were not getting the calls that they expected on the road compared to at home, and even in years past on the road, they just were not. It was a lot of times where, the refs, it kind of looked like they could have thrown a penalty, but they did not. Hats off to them. Ed, what are your thoughts on this? The middle of the 3 games.
Yeah, I was the opposite. I was rooting for the Chiefs. I had a parlay on the games yesterday, and the damn Chiefs ruined it. So I was not thrilled watching the Cowboys go out there. And there was a little controversy with these calls and non-calls, at least from the media pundits. I saw a lot of chatter online yesterday saying that wasn't a pass interference, or that was a pass interference, talking about the Chiefs Cowboys game. So that was a little interested. My view, I'm like, let the guys play, but I'm a Commander saying I could be a little biased. I don't know some of those calls against I think it was McDuffie and Warren, the Chiefs cornerbacks out there. But man, as we been seeing, it's a tough task dealing with George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb when he has his head on straight and brings his hands with him. It was a tough task. But freaking, I did not expect Malik Davis, one of the backup running backs for the Cowboys, to actually come out there. I think he had about a 40-yard gain for a touchdown. after the play, they showed a shot on the sideline of Chris Jones, basically saying that was my fault. Guess he gave up his lane integrity, rushed to the outside instead of staying where he needed to be on the inside, and he had a big gap that Malik Davis rushed through. I think that was a huge play for the Cowboys because Chiefs are usually pretty good against the run. They didn't get like gashed, but big plays like that definitely can cost you games. And that play right there had a huge impact on the game. It surprised me watching it live. Food almost fell out of my mouth when I was watching it. So yeah, man, these Cowboys, honestly, I think they're going to be around. Um, I think they're going to find a way to wiggle their way in the playoffs because his defense is looking pretty good. And then the offense, they're making plays when plays need to be made, and it's looking hard to guard George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. No, George Pickens, think he got it wasn't a catch, but he got a pass interference where he basically was able to get his move to the inside for the slant route, and it made the defender like tug on his jersey some, and they had to call a flag, and it was that last possession for the Cowboys where they were able to run out the clock. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, man, they got George Pickens, they got CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson's pretty good tight end, and you got this running game now with Javonte Williams and Malik Davis apparently now. I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm not looking forward to playing them when we play them down the line. And it's going to be tough for a lot of these teams too. And as far as the Chiefs, this was a huge, huge loss for them. You know, I doubt I don't think there's any chance for them winning the AFC West. I could be wrong, but I don't know. I got to look at the schedule. But chances of them making the playoffs getting slimmer and slimmer now. And they make mistakes like these. Yeah, it's not gonna be good. We could be seeing the first time where Patrick Mahomes misses the playoffs in his career. I'm sure you would like that, but definitely, definitely not good for the Chiefs. But it was a good game though. Left a bad taste in my mouth though watching the Cowboys win. And that defense ain't looking too bad either. And they gonna get one of their cornerbacks back soon too, Trayvon Diggs. Oh Lord, see how it goes.
Okay, turning the page to the final game of the Thanksgiving slate. Cincinnati came into Baltimore, put an ass whooping on the Ravens. 32-14 was the final. I feel like after this game, we needed Mike Singletary, former 49ers coach, to come in our locker room, pull the entire offense, even the backups, to a conference room or another closed portion, and call me crazy, but there was a story about Vernon Davis said at one time the 49ers were playing so bad, Mike Singletary pulled down his pants, the team in the locker room, and said, "This is what y'all playing like." That's what we needed Mike Singletary to do last night to the offense, man, because they were playing like complete ass, man. My guys needed some glue. I told you this. I texted you about this last night. For real, Lamar Jackson, Isaiah Likely, Zay Flowers, 4 fumbles between the 3 of them, not to mention Lamar's fourth quarter interception as well. That's 5 turnovers in case you all were not counting. Defense, though, in my opinion, our defense had a hell of a game against a Cincinnati team that normally puts up 400 to 500 yards on us. Specifically, Jamar Chase, he averaged about 250 yards a game on us last year. I know they said he is 120 a game, I believe, averaging in his career against the Ravens are the most for one player against another team in NFL history. I don't know how accurate that is, but that's what NBC showed. He did help us with a few drops, but of course, it didn't help in the overall outcome. Defense managed to keep Cincinnati out of the end zone 4 times in the first half, including after the Lamar Jackson fumble. We set them up at the 2-yard line. Thought it was going to be an easy score. I thought, honestly, on that first down and goal, they was going to come out and punch it in, but they did not. Ended up being a field goal. Plus, they were 0-2 on goal-to-goal situations, including, that one I just mentioned. Burrow was 1 for 10 in the red area during the first half. I can go on and on about this game, but I'll leave it at this, man. Where was Derrick Henry in the second quarter? I know I've been talking about Keaton Mitchell and his east to west capabilities, but to not even have him out there, I believe, on just one play, could be wrong, but that's a little too few, honestly. The threat that Derrick Henry brings to an opposing defense, he needs to be out there a little bit more. Why do we keep rotating Emory Jones, the rookie left guard, in for Andrew Voorhees? I know Ravens fans, and including myself, have been kind of talking about this offensive line all season long about how bad they are. But if you're gonna put a guy out there, stick to him. You know what I'm saying? And especially for the game, he's a rookie. We're trying to get offensive line, trying to get this stuff figured out. But you don't bring him in. I think it was second quarter he came in, and then we looked up at after halftime. Andrew Voorhees is back out there, the original starting left guard. Make up your mind, Harbaugh, offensive line coach Todd Monken, whoever's in charge of making those decisions on players. Offensive line, you just can't be switching them out like that. You can do that on the defensive line. You could do that, perhaps in the secondary here and there, but not there. And wide receivers. It was though good to see him out there. Emory Jones, Peebles is one of our rookie defensive ends, I believe he is. He's been out all season. He finally came back, and then Carl Lawson, a guy that we signed about probably 4 or 5 weeks ago. Ravens fans have been like, "Where has he been at?" And he finally appeared. I was like, "Who is that jersey number out there?" Then he turned his back, and it was sure enough, it was Carl Lawson. So good to see him out there as well. But on the other side of things, offense, we got to pick it up, or else we're gonna get back on another losing streak fast. We got Pittsburgh at home next week, at Cincinnati, New England at home, at Green Bay, and then Pittsburgh on the road to end the season out. So, yeah, we got to get this offense going extremely fast. It seems like when we get one thing fixed, we take another step back. We had the defense was the problem the first 4 or 5 games or more. Get that fixed, and then the offense has been pretty much non-existent the last 2 or 3 games. It's crazy. I don't know what we can do at this point, honestly. But Ed, what are your thoughts on this one? I know you were watching it as well.
Yeah, man, y'all made the defensive coordinator of the Bengals think is Al Golden look like freaking Bill Belichick when he's with the Giants, or Bill Parcells or something, man. Y'all made that Bengals defense look really, really good. I think this is one of the worst games Lamar has ever played. That first fumble where he was in their own end zone basically, and he fumbled the ball, and the Bengals recovered it. I was like, oh God, I did not like that fumble at all. It kind of reminded me of the old Lamar Jackson, or when he gets in the playoffs and he just has these type of games.
Yep.
That Save Flowers. I had him on my fantasy team, so I'm just pissed. He fumbled the ball late in the game. I texted you about it. When I saw the play happen, I was just thinking to myself, I just have a feeling something bad about that. Why she fumbled his ball? Lo and behold, that's exactly what he does. I'm just like, at that point, I was just watching the games to see if he was going to get some garbage points, maybe score a touchdown or not. But for whatever reason, Lamar Jackson and Zay Flowers cannot connect that game. I think the one pass he did catch, they caught him for pushing off on the wide receiver. Off his pass interference, they took back. And then there was another play with Lamar Jackson that was kind of controversial. Kind of want to ask you about it, where they said that throw he made where he lost the ball at the end, they called that a fumble. I was looking online. A lot of people were saying that should have been called an interception because he didn't lose control of the ball and bring it back. It was just that type of forward motion with his arm. So I was kind of like, oh, man, because I got Lamar Jackson in another fantasy football league too, and he was just killing me with all the turnovers. So I just thought it was just a bad game for those two. And I agree with you. I think y'all guys should have ran the ball a little bit more. I know y'all were down, but seemed like to be the only thing going. Freaking likely. I mean, it was a good play by the Bengals defenders too, but come on, likely. Damn, I mean,
he was letting go of the ball. That's the thing. On that play, on that Isaiah Likely play, when I went back and watched it, he was letting go. Because at first I was like, okay, good play by the defender, but he just it's almost like he was switching the ball from his hand to hand,
not good
going
ball
across
security.
the goal line. And I'm like, what are you doing, bro? You damn near had a 20-yard catch and run, and all of a sudden you want to decide to boot. I don't.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, that was not a good game for you guys at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with you. The defense tried their best. The score doesn't really show up, but the defense did try their best out there. But when the offense turning the ball over left and right, I mean, it's only so much a defense can do, unless you got like guys out there returning fumbles and interceptions for touchdowns. But y'all wasn't able to do that for the all defense. But yeah, man, tough game. Good win for the Bengals.
Yeah, and
Good.
that Lamar Jackson, that Lamar Jackson fumble you were referring to, whether it was a fumble incompletion, it was hard for me to tell early on. I haven't seen it again since last night. I know they were talking about Tuck Rule on the broadcast, but Tuck Rule was eliminated a couple years ago, so unfortunately we didn't get that in our favor. And guess it is what it is at this point. But yeah, you mentioned it. We kind of played like we do in the playoffs. I expect these type of games in the playoffs, honestly, at this rate, because we've done it so many times, shoot ourselves in the foot. But it's rare in the regular season that we shoot ourselves in the foot. This many turnovers, we lose a turnover battle completely. It wasn't even close to turnover battle like that. Just bonehead mistake after bonehead mistake. It was absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, on to the next, man. On to the next. All right. Let's turn our attention to NFC West versus AFC North. Shador Sanders, he'll get his first career home start for the Browns against the 49ers. Excuse me. Let's see if Ed thinks the winning ways will continue for Cleveland.
I'm definitely looking forward to this game. I really want to see how Shador Sanders does out there. My guess is the 49ers will make it a very, very long day for Shador and that Browns offense. But at the same times, it seems like, kind of what Joe Burrow did with the Bengals and that defense, where they just seem to play a little better when Joe Burrow's out there. The Browns defense has been pretty decent all year. Shador comes in, I think, put another battery in their back. I definitely could see the Browns mucking it up for the 49ers offense and Christian McCaffrey. So I want to see how that matchup goes. But I feel like Shador is going to be put into some mistakes. I feel like he's going to turn the ball over, and all the haters out there for the Shador Sanders are going to be like, see, I told you so. He ain't no good. He beat the Raiders, but the Raiders stink. I can see the 49ers making him look like a fifth round backup quarterback. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he goes out there and lights them up. But um, in my personal opinion, I just think the 49ers, and those guys are going to show up and show out against Shador. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope, the rookie tight end they got, Fannin and Njoku, the veteran tight end, can do their thing out there. Jerry Judy, I mean, I don't know. He's another one of those guys. He's hit or miss. He might make a 50-yard reception and then fumble the ball out of bounds or something, or just fumble the ball and give it to the other team. So I don't know with him, but I do like the rookie running back as well, Judkins too. But I just think the 49ers right now are a little bit better team overall, and they're going to make less mistakes, and the 49ers are going to win this one. But I'm hoping, Shador Sanders has a good game, but I doubt it. We'll see, though. I hope he proves me wrong. What are your thoughts?
So last week it seemed like Shador had it a bit of easy against the Raiders pass rush or pass defense. Now they got that Niners defense coming to town, only giving up 21 points per game. That's 11th in the National Football League. But at the same time, I think this home crowd, they have a little bit to cheer for on offense because Sanders will have times to throw. 49er pass rush hasn't been their best this season. Bryce Huff, he leads the team with only 4 sacks. That's something that's caught media attention a lot. They was like, with even despite all the injuries, how good this San Fran team has been all season. They just have not had a pass rush like in years past. So I think Cleveland can put a few touchdowns on the board with those guys, Judkins. You mentioned Fannin, the tight end, as well as possibly Jerry Jeudy if he does show up, as you mentioned. Obviously, Myles Garrett, Carson Schlesinger. They'll continue to, make life difficult for opposing quarterbacks, man. I think they'll have their hands full though with Christian McCaffrey. He's been really good in the pass game, not so much in the run game, even though the stats show different, but definitely more in the pass game out in the flat. So we'll see how that goes. Whether it's just throw it to him in the flat, then you got to rely on the linebackers. But if he lines out wide, which he does every now and then, a little bit more on the safeties, Ronnie Hickman, Grant Delpit, and those guys will be in charge of covering him then at that point. But my focal point in this game to watch will be Myles Garrett versus Ed's former left tackle, Trent Williams. Kyle Shanahan, he might want to consider putting Kyle Juszczyk, George Kittle on whatever side number 95 is lined up on to try to chip them, to help up those tackles. We'll see how it goes. But plus, you got to keep an eye on Trent Williams' composure. We've seen it with big games against good defenders where, um, his temper has kind of cost him a team. Whether it's a penalty, he got ejected against the Eagles a couple years ago in the playoffs as well. That's going to be something to watch as well. These two teams, they're not strangers against each other. Even though they play in two different conferences. Just a couple years ago, I don't know if y'all remember, San Fran came in. I believe they were 5-0, came into Cleveland, um, and they got upset at the end. That Cleveland kicked a field goal and beat them there in First Energy Bank Stadium. I believe that's the name of the stadium out there in Cleveland. So don't be surprised if Cleveland plays spoiler again. Despite that, I do think San Fran has a little bit too much for them. I'm going to go with San Fran to beat the Browns there on the road.
All right, we got an AFC matchup next. Bills taking on the Steelers. Brandon, how you see this one going?
Bills Mafia, stand up, y'all.
Oh God.
I'm not going to talk about this game too much because I'll get into what I want versus what I think will happen. But both of these teams, obviously coming off of losses a week ago, they need their quarterbacks to protect the ball. Allen, 9 interceptions. Aaron Rodgers, of course, he missed the previous game, but he has 7 interceptions on the year. Buffalo comes in with the number 1 ranked rushing offense and the number 1 ranked passing defense. Pittsburgh, 28 in total defense and second to last against the pass. So it sounds like the advantage goes towards Buffalo. But if the Steelers can get home without blitzing, I think it'll be another long afternoon for Josh Allen. To make matters worse, Buffalo will be without, both their starting tackles, Dawkins, he's in concussion protocol. Spencer Brown, he has a right shoulder injury. Both of those guys have been ruled out. Buffalo has won 4 of the last 5 in this series. Playoff implications are also on the line, so I think Buffalo will squeeze out a win there in Pittsburgh. A very tough place to play. I think it's a 4 o'clock game in the late window on the Eastern Standard Time clock. I think the Steelers, they have a little bit more wiggle room to lose this one. Not that they want to go in and say, okay, we got wiggle room. They need to win. That's what they're preaching in that locker room all week and they're heading into this game. But as far as from the outside looking in, our viewpoint, I think Buffalo has a little bit more pressure on them to win than I would say Pittsburgh, who still has a shot in the AFC North. Even if they lose this game, Buffalo cannot afford to lose another game and be even further behind New England, who they have coming up in, I believe, a couple more weeks at New England. Ed, how do you see this game going?
Yeah, like you said, with those injuries to the offensive line of the Bills, I'm wondering how their rushing game is going to look because they are like first in rushing, if I'm not mistaken, 147.2 yards per game. But it's funny, they also allow a lot of rushing yards. They give up about just the same amount of rushing a game. But the Steelers aren't a team who's particularly good at running the ball lately. I think they average just under 100 yards. So I want to see how that run game shapes out if the Steelers are going to be able to run a ball on the Bills because they can be. I like the Steelers' chances, but at the same time, the Bills are pretty good at running the ball. But with those offensive linemen out, how is that going to affect the run game? I like Josh Allen a little bit more than I like Aaron Rodgers at his point in his career. So I'm still leaning towards the Bills, even with all the injuries they have. They just need to make sure they don't turn the ball over and protect Josh Allen. As we know, he got sacked about 8 times last week. They're going to have to clean that up against Watt and them boys coming to town, or, the Bills coming in the Steelers home. So they got to clean up that. And hopefully they will be able to, not hopefully, I don't really care who wins, but the Bills, they need to make sure they keep Josh Allen upright. So I think he's going to had to play a little bit of superhero role in this one. Put his Superman cape on, make some runs, extend the play, and just run the ball himself. Because I think TJ Watt and them boys are going to be coming after them hot and heavy a lot, and he's going to have to get out of the pocket and do his thing. And but I'm leaning towards the Bills in this one. I do think it'll be a close game, though. I think they're favored by 3.5. The Bills. I think it'll be like a field goal type game, but Steelers will make a mistake or two in the end that'll cost them. But we'll see how it goes. But give me the Bills on that one.
Okay, the AFC South showdown on CBS in the early window will feature the Texans and Colts from Lucas Oil Stadium. Ed pointed out a couple times this season how the Colts do not play well against good teams, but how does he feel about this matchup?
Yeah, initially I was leaning towards the Colts because their defense has been playing well, but now that I'm seeing this injury, even though he's going to play, Daniel Jones has his fractured fibula. He's going to be a little hobbled out there going against a pretty good Texans defense. So I'm kind of like 50-50 on this one. Jonathan Taylor, the equalizer out there for the Colts. I can't count him out. And I really like that tight end, Tyler Warren. They got rookie sensation for the Colts as well. At the same time, I believe CJ Stroud is coming back on a 3-game winning streak. I need to see how CJ Stroud. I'm hoping he's taking an overall look at how this team has been playing without him and how the offense looks, and he's able to go in there and continue that. But Sauce Gardner with the Colts now, their defense is pretty good. They don't really let guys run the ball in them as well. I know Woody Marks is kind of taking over that running back room for the Texans, kind of taking over more carries than he has than Nick Chubb's getting. But I think the Colts will be able to contain him. I need to see though how the wide receivers for the Texans look against the Colts. I know Nico Collins will do his thing, but those two rookies, Noel and Higgins, how those guys look out there right now. I'm kind of leaning towards the Colts defense being able to do a little bit more. So it's a tough one. I gotta lean to the Colts, even though I feel like the Texans should win this game. I don't know. I got a feeling the Colts are gonna win this one. So give me the Colts on this one. What about you, Brandon?
Biggest question for me, can this Houston pass rush show up like they did against Buffalo last week on Thursday Night Football? 8 sacks, 4 quarterback hits, 5 passes defense. If yes, give me Houston. If not, give me Indianapolis. Despite that dominant performance from Houston, they still struggle to stop the run. So now we've got a divisional matchup on top of you bringing in the NFL's leading rusher at home. Coming off a game where he was limited last week as well. He's going to want to get his groove back. So that'll be something to watch. I'm also interested to see how Daniel Jones tries to get Tyler Warren involved. He was held in check last week for the most part. Indy is at their best when, of course, Jonathan Taylor is doing his thing. And lately, since he's been in the league as a rookie, when Tyler Warren is stretching the middle of that defense, those opposing defenses that they've been playing. Plus, you mentioned, is Daniel Jones healthy? Nursing that injury early this week in practice, that'll be something to watch how D'Amico Ryans and those guys try to attack him as well. Houston's offense, though, they've had a little bit of spark under Davis Mills. I think the opportunities will be there against Indianapolis. They struggled on the back end all season. That's why they got Sauce Gardner a couple weeks ago via trade. So you want to cue Nico Collins. You want to cue Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk's coming off his best game of the season last week. He had a couple wide open catches, so they're going to need that again as well. Indianapolis very good at home, man. It's hard to bet against them. They're 6-0. They're at Lucas Oil Stadium, but something tells me that D'Amico Ryan's defense is going to make another veteran quarterback struggle. They had Josh Allen last week, Daniel Jones this week, and in this one, Daniel Jones, he's known to fumble here or there when he get a little pressure on him. So we'll see how that goes. It leads to points, obviously, for the other team. Give me Houston on the road in this one. Even though I think just about every time I picked against Indianapolis, I've been wrong. But I just think this Houston defense, yeah, is a little bit better. We'll see how it goes. I think that'll be one of the better games on Sunday for sure. All right, everyone. This episode is brought to you by Premium, a CBD and wellness company. Check out their full line of CBD infused products, which make great stocking stuffers for the upcoming holiday season. Perfect for athletes, weekend warriors, soccer moms, and even armchair quarterbacks. They have CBD infused honey, which is a personal favorite, as well as tinctures in mint and regular flavor. Most importantly, they are veteran and women owned. So come get some of this sweet temptation and taste the premium difference. Use code B and E for 15% off the order. Their website is www.premium.com. That's PREHEMIUM.com. And now back to our show.
All right, everybody. We got the Commanders taking on another team coming off the bye. And this is also a primetime game. Another reminder of the NFL and the great schedule they put out for us last year or coming in this year because of the success we had last year. So we got one of the hottest defenses, the Denver Broncos, coming into town. Um, Jaden Daniels is going to play. I'm kind of happy about that. I don't want him to go against his pass rush. Brandon's been talking about Nick Bonito a lot this year, so I definitely didn't want to hear his name taking down Jaden Daniels at all. I'd rather Marcus Mariota take those licks. No offense, Mariota. Good news, kind of, we are getting Terry McLaurin back. So hopefully he can come out of this game unscathed. And when Jaden Daniels does eventually come back, we can see them back in action again. Back to this game though. I think the Broncos are going to win it. I think it'll be a little close. Commanders starting to get a little healthy. I believe Will Harris has a chance to play in this game, one of our safeties. But if not, I mean, like I said, Terry McLaurin is coming back. I think Noah Brown has been practicing too, so there's a chance he'll be coming back. So it's good to see, our starting receivers, guys on both sides of the ball get healthy, come back. So I think the game will be a little bit more competitive. But that Broncos defense is suffocating. I think, Mariota will unfortunately turn the ball over. If not an interception, a forced fumble type deal. And the Broncos are just overall right now a little better team. Like I said, I'll be talking about our defense. I'm sure we'll see Bobby Wagner chasing somebody about 5 yards behind a player while they sprinting full speed. It looks like Bobby Wagner's jogging behind them, doing his best to catch them. But I just think we'll have a couple situations like that, and the Broncos should win this game. Hopefully, it's not like that last primetime game. I think it was the Seahawks. I think that was a Sunday night game. It might have been Monday night, but it was a blowout before halftime. Hopefully, it's not like that. Hopefully, it's competitive. It'll be like the Dolphins game. It's competitive to the end. We blow it. We stink. Kicker missed a damn field goal to win the game, something like that. Hopefully, it's a heartbreaker like that and not a complete blowout. But either way, I think the Broncos will win this one pretty handedly. Brandon, what do you see this game going?
Sorry, did you say Daniels is in or out?
He's out.
Okay, I thought so. All right. So listen, Sean Payton's he's been reminding his players all week that only one AFC team gets a bye in the playoffs. They got to continue their winning ways to make that happen. Obviously, I think Washington will have a slim chance if Denver continues to start slow on offense like they have in several games this year. But at the same time, Mariota and this Washington offense will face their toughest test this year with this Denver defense. 49 sacks, tops in the National Football League by far. I think the closest team, I can't remember who it is, but they're second with 39. So that's saying something. I really like Denver in this one. Another thing to watch is the weather in the field. It's starting to turn cold in the DMV at night. Northwest Stadium, apparently it got resodded the field when y'all went out to Spain right before that game. Of course, it was a road game, so they had plenty of time plus the bye week. And nobody's played on it as so far just yet. So that'll be something to watch as well. Chance of rain. I think the team with the best running game could make a big difference on the outcome in this one, just because the weather and the possible elements out there in the form of rain. We'll see how it goes. So should be a good one to watch there. All right. Several other week 13 games on the calendar. Sunday afternoon, we'll start with Jaguars and Titans, Saints at Dolphins, Falcons at Jets, Cardinals at Buccaneers, Rams at Panthers. In the late window, you got Minnesota at Seattle, Las Vegas at Los Angeles Chargers, and Monday Night Football will feature the Giants and Patriots. Ed, which of these games are you looking forward to?
Believe it or not, I'm be looking at this Falcons Jets game. I feel like if the Falcons lose to the Jets, we could be seeing a coaching change in Atlanta. Just the season has been going well for them, so I wouldn't be surprised about that. Gonna look at this Rams Panthers game. I feel like the Rams should win this one, but never know with these Panthers 1 week. World beaters next week. They stink it up. That Monday Night Football game, Giants at the Patriots. I would love to see the Giants beat the Patriots. Funny as that sound, coming from another NFC East rival, but I don't really like the Patriots that much, so that'd be great to see. And I think Jackson Dart is playing that game. So we'll see how that goes. What about you?
Yeah, excuse me. Cardinals and Bucks. Buccaneers need a win bad. 3 straight losses. They got to get back in the win column. With this one, they got a lonely Arizona team coming to town. Excuse me. So we'll see how that one goes. Rams and Panthers. Don't sleep on this game. Los Angeles, Carolina. They're pretty good at home. I think their run game could pose a problem for this Chris Shula ran defense. Um, that will be another good one, I believe, in the early window. Vikings and Seahawks, please pray for JJ McCarthy, man. That Seattle defense is a force out there. I think they don't get a lot of love and attention that they should because they're up there in that Pacific Northwest. But and then they're even better at home. That defense there, they just feed off that crowd and really get after the quarterback. But Giants and Panthers Monday Night Football. Giants have a really good history against the Patriots, man. Obviously, years ago, I know none of these players were around then. They were in that undefeated season, New England. They nearly beat them in week 17 because they only had 17 weeks back then. But then in the Super Bowl, of course, they beat them as well. The Giants beat them twice, by the way. So look for the Giants to keep this one close. I would love to see a Giants win as well. I doubt it's going to happen, but at the same time, these teams with these winning streaks, Denver, New England, coming down the stretch. I think the Rams are on a little bit of a win streak, not as much as those 2 teams that I've mentioned before. They usually drop one against a bad team down the stretch. It just is usually bound to happen. Those teams don't usually run into that. What it would be probably 13 straight in a row at that point where they would get in the playoff. They don't typically do that anymore like that. So expect to see a loss by New England and Denver coming down the stretch. And both of them could come against NFC East teams this weekend. You got your Washington Commanders hosting Denver with a win streak and New England hosting Giants. Be on upset alert. Not saying it'll happen this week, but it's a possibility for sure.
All right, let's get into these parlays of the week. Each week is getting harder and harder, but I'm gonna try to do it for y'all this week. Give me the Jaguars over the Titans. Give me the Dolphins over the Saints. This one I've got a funny feeling about, but give me the Bucks over the Cardinals. It should be easy, but I have a funny feeling about that one. I'm doing it. I keep saying I'm not going to do it, but give me the Rams over the Panthers. Give me the Seahawks over the Vikings, and I'm gonna take the Broncos over my Commanders. So Broncos, Seahawks, Rams, Bucks, Dolphins, and Jags. What about you, Brandon?
I'm gonna keep it short. I got Atlanta over the Jets and Seattle over Minnesota. Man, Seattle at home, uh, looking pretty good. I know the Jets kept it pretty close against Baltimore, but to me, they haven't improved much as far as scoring points goes. So I know Kirk Cousins is going to be in there. We'll see how he plays on the road. So yeah, Atlanta and Seattle for me.
Yeah, definitely see how that goes. I got a funny feeling about that Vikings Seahawks game too. I feel like maybe the Vikings will make Sam Darnold see ghosts, but I'm leaning on that Seahawks defense to make McCarthy look still like a rookie. But we'll see how it goes. But yeah, everybody, that's gonna do it for another episode of the Breaking the Internet podcast. As always, appreciate y'all support, taking time out y'all day to watch. Please comment, like, subscribe on our YouTube. Just look for a B&E podcast, Breaking the Internet podcast. Search for us on Instagram, B&E podcast, as well as X or Twitter, however you want to call it, on podcast B&E. We got this Eagles Bears game coming up here on Amazon Prime. Try to check that out if you can. And hopefully you'll have a safe rest of the weekend, holiday weekend. Everybody who has to travel somewhere, safe travels to y'all. And we'll see y'all next time. Peace.